Get started. Happy Wednesday, and thank you again for joining us. My name is Katie Boucher, and I'm the Senior Social Media Manager here at Kaspersky Lab. We're extremely excited to announce this new device, Kaspersky Internet Security Multi-Device, the new product in our line of products. Today we have Roel Schoenberg, our Senior Malware Researcher, and Ann Biddlecom, our Director of Product Marketing. Roel is going to talk a little bit about the internet threats that we see today. As more of us are using multiple devices to connect to the internet, it's the same internet, and unfortunately we're not protecting all of our devices. So Ann's going to talk a little bit more about our product and how our product can help protect all of the devices that we're using on a daily basis. So Roel, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do at Kaspersky?
Thanks, Katie. My name is Roel Schoenberg, and I'm part of Kaspersky Lab's Global Research and Analysis team, which is a global team, as the name suggests. I'm personally based out of New York, and the Global Research and Analysis team is the team that focuses on all the in-depth investigations into high-level cyber operations, be that cyber crime, cyber espionage, or anything really, anything that's interesting regardless of a platform.
Katie, I just lost you. All right,
I put myself on mute.
Okay.
Ann, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So as Katie said, I'm the Director of Global Product Marketing. Basically what we do is security software is extremely complicated, and our role is to make it easy for the customer to understand, to use, and understand the benefits of how our products are keeping them safe online and allowing them to really enjoy that experience safely.
Great. Thank you. And as I mentioned, we're here to talk about Kaspersky Internet Security Multi-Device. This security software protects any combination of your PCs, your Android devices, so your smartphones, and your tablets, Macs and PCs, I think I said that. So it's one simple, convenient solution for all of your devices. We've talked about how all these devices really need protection. So, Roel, can you tell us a little bit more about what specifically is targeting Android users today?
Yeah, certainly. So we have seen a lot of development over the past 2 years in the Android ecosystem, and right now we're at a stage where we see about 10,000 new variants for Android, 10,000 malware samples, malware variants every month. And actually that number is a bit higher because those 10,000, that's just variants. It's not actually unique samples. So what a lot of bad guys are doing for Android is actually modifying legitimate existing apps and adding malicious code to that. And we see that one actor may upload 10 or 100 of those modified apps, but we just count that as one variant. So the number is actually significantly higher. And when we look at 10,000 variants a month, that is roughly the equivalent of what we saw in the Windows ecosystem back in 2006, 2007. So back then it was already very clear that Windows was under heavy attack, and people needed to protect themselves, and that's certainly something that we are now seeing as well. Android is becoming more like Windows, and when we look at the threats, we see Android malware that works in tandem with Windows malware to steal online banking credentials, or rather just steal money from your online banking account, as well as threats such as fake antivirus and ransomware that lock your Android device and basically hold it hostage. And the bigger problem on Android is that when your device is locked, you lose all access to your data. With a Windows machine, you can still basically take out the hard drive and try and recover data in a secondary machine. That's not possible on Android. So that really means it's very interesting for attackers to go this route, and we are seeing an increase of activity in this space because the attackers are holding all data hostage, and definitely shows the need for protection, because people really like their data. In addition to that, over the past few months, we've been watching a cyber operation that we've called OBAD. And OBAD is a piece of malware that is currently the pinnacle of Android malware. It's very sophisticated. It takes advantage of a number of, well, I wouldn't necessarily say vulnerabilities, but a number of issues in Android that make it very hard to remove. And in addition to that, OBAD is actually also distributed via another mobile botnet. And what that shows us is that the people behind OBAD, they are very experienced, they are very sophisticated, and they are effectively bringing their cybercrime business, their cybercrime know-how from most likely the Windows space to the Android space. And these bad guys are currently leading the way in basically making the Android threat ecosystem more sophisticated. So in short, we are seeing more and more Android malware. The amount of malware is actually doubling each half year, which is at an unprecedented rate. We never saw that in the Windows ecosystem, and the malware is also getting more sophisticated. So a combination of these two definitely means that we need to start thinking of Android as the new Windows, and we need to protect ourselves.
Thank you for that, Roel. I have an Android device, and I can't imagine not being able to get into it or having my data swiped from it. So, Anne, can you talk a little bit more about how Kaspersky Internet Security multi-device works on our Android devices?
Certainly. So I think you both hit on three really key things for consumers to think about when they're looking at security. One is that it is the exact same internet. I mean, you really are, if you're on Facebook on your PC, it's the same basically as being on Facebook on your phone or on your tablet. Banking, shopping, etc. All of those are going to the same internet, and you're exposed to all the phishing attacks and dangerous links, etc., no matter what device you're on. Particularly Android, as Roel mentioned, that also is really becoming so popular with cyber criminals, so there are specific direct attacks against Android devices. And then Roel mentioned the data. You know, the thing about Android smartphones and tablets is they're very small, very lightweight, and really easy to lose or to swipe. And, you know, with your device, so goes the data on it. And so our products really address all three of those, plus many more technologies for Android. So within Kaspersky Internet Security for multi-device, there is an Android product that you can put on either your tablet, your smartphone, or both, and we can get into exactly the logistics of that. But what it does is severalfold. It protects you no matter what you're doing online, just as you would be protected on your PC. So if you're on your phone and you're shopping, you're on Facebook, you're searching the web, we're ensuring that you're not clicking on malicious links, that you're not going to a phishing site, that a virus isn't being downloaded onto your phone, that an app that you're downloading doesn't have bad things on it, etc. And we're doing that in a couple ways. We talk about layers around here. So there's sort of the proactively seeking out what's happening on your phone and your tablet. If it looks suspicious, we're sort of blocking those things from doing things that they shouldn't be doing, as well as just ensuring that anything that is, you know, known is being blocked. So you really have very comprehensive protection from real time from all the latest threats. Then on the anti-theft or anti-loss side, we actually have some really cool features that I use, given that I tend to misplace, or else one of my children is swiping my phone. I'm not sure which. But if your phone is lost or stolen, your tablet is lost or stolen, you can actually find it using GPS and Google Maps coordinates. If you're not able to find it for any reason, you think it's lost for good, you can completely block it or wipe out everything on it. And you can do that with the phone even if the SIM card has been replaced. Two other features that are very useful and kind of fun. One is our mugshot feature. So you can actually secretly take a picture of whoever is on your tablet or your phone, and it gets sent to you. So you can sort of have the ID of the thief. And also the alarm, which is new to us with this version, which is great, because when your phone is not lost across town and is actually just under a cushion on your sofa, you can find it. So some really comprehensive features. And again, our products are all about making it as easy as possible for you to be safe without your having to worry about the complexity or what's going on out in the cybercrime world. You can just do the things that you want to do, and most importantly, do them without impact on the performance of your devices. Katie?
Great, thank you so much. And just for those who are joining us, we will be getting to the questions at the end of our presentation. So another common misconception that we always hear is that Macs can't get malware, but Roel, can you enlighten us there?
Definitely. So when we look at the Mac malware ecosystem right now, we actually see a lot of activity when it comes to targeted attacks. A lot of cyber espionage campaigns seem to involve Mac components now. And the reason why these attackers for these high-level cyber espionage campaigns are actually actively targeting Macs is because the vast majority of people don't use security products for Mac, and in fact, for many years, Apple advertised with zero malware, zero viruses for Mac, which they actually dropped a few years ago. Last year, the potential for Mac malware became very, very obvious with a piece of malware called the FlashFig. FlashFig infected about 650,000 OS X machines. And when you look at that number, that's significant. But when you put that, when you compare that to Windows numbers, if you look at the market share, that's roughly the equivalent of 10 million infected machines by Windows standards. So that's a massive infection, which initially actually had gone under the radar, again, because of a few people run security software for Mac. Some threats are a lot bigger than what a lot of people think. So when we look at other threats that we see is that there's been a big uptick in malicious Chrome extensions recently, and the reason why attackers are going for Chrome extensions is because Chrome runs on Windows, Linux, and OS X. So even though these malicious Chrome extensions aren't necessarily targeting Mac specifically, they are being hit by those malicious Chrome extensions. And when we look at how they spread, we see that social networks are a big target there. And when excuse me, we do also see that more people running Macs are clicking on phishing links, relatively speaking. So we do see that even older threats like phishing, they are still very much a day-to-day threat for Mac users, because again they have the idea that you don't need security. But we have seen growing evidence that is actively being exploited. Additionally, what we've been seeing is an increase in Java malware as well, and Java again runs on Windows, Linux, and OS X, and in fact some other platforms as well. So the attackers are actively moving to platforms that allow them to attack Windows and OS X at the same time. So even if the number of dedicated OS X threats hasn't significantly increased throughout this year, the number of threats affecting OS X actually have. And with that, I want to give it back to Katie.
Okay, great. I mean, it's astonishing. I have a Mac as well, so it's it's always interesting to hear what is out there and what I could be exposed to. So I'm glad that I do have Kaspersky on my products. But Anne, can you tell us a little bit more about the product that we have to protect Macs?
Sure, and there's obviously a theme here. It's that theme of it's the same internet, which is, your Mac is clicking on those, you're inadvertently clicking on those phishing links on your Mac on the same internet. And then there are also, as with Android, just much more targeted attacks toward them. So what we've done is taken all of our learnings and more from our PC security and applied it to Macs. To really ensure that no matter what you are doing online, again, you are protected. When you're banking, when you're shopping, when you're surfing, that your identity is protected, etc. Another thing that I wanted to point out that I think is interesting is oftentimes when we're out talking to people about Mac security and they say they don't need it, one of the things that we point out to them is even if your Mac is not specifically attacked, you can be passing PC malware onto your friends with PCs on your system. So there are a number of reasons to be protecting your Mac, and our products protect you on all of those sides. A couple other things that are important with Mac. Lots of kids are on Macs. We've seen a tremendous increase in that at schools, etc. And we have really significant parental controls. They allow you to very, unobtrusively make sure that your kids are not going onto content that they shouldn't be, aren't sharing information that they shouldn't be, protects them on social networks so you can actually view their discussions, view their chats, make sure that you're comfortable with their contacts. You can even limit the time of day that they're on the machine or for how many hours or what sites they go to, etc. So I think it's very valuable for parents because the kids can easily be exposed to things that they don't want them exposed to, or click on the same phishing links and dangerous links, etc., just in the course of doing their homework. I think one other thing that's key with our product for Mac is it has a very familiar Mac look and feel. It doesn't look like actually any of our other product software. It's much more familiar for Mac users, and again, it's optimized for performance, so you're not going to see the slowdown of your Mac.
Great, thank you, Anne, for talking about that. Rule, we actually had a quick question that I think might be relevant to talk about right now. Dario Lofaro, sorry if I did not pronounce that correctly, he said, what do you think what do you think about potentially dangerous ads that connect to malicious sites? And does Kaspersky protect from that?
We definitely protect from that. We see we call this malvertising, and in recent times we've seen some high-profile cases of that in various ways. So we have a number of different technologies that look at this this kind of threat model, this kind of threat vector, rather. So on the one hand, we have our reputation systems, which are effective both for websites as well as files, and we have a number of different protection layers as content is being downloaded from the internet. So we have a special engine, special technology that analyzes the contents of scripts and other code very thoroughly before it's actually run on your machine. And even when it's being run on your machine, we have a number of different protection layers that dynamically monitor the code to see if anything suspicious is happening. We also have a dedicated module called Advanced Exploit Protection that really focuses on this, because with malvertising, in the vast majority of cases, what happens is that the attackers are trying to take advantage of a vulnerability in your software, and well, we have special technology that focuses on that. Additionally, and I think Anne might touch on that as well. In the latest version of Kaspersky Internet Security, we actually have default deny, where we can say only trusted code is allowed to run. Only known trusted applications are allowed to run on the machine, which is very sophisticated, very good way of protecting the machine, because when unknown applications are not allowed to load, that means that you you have a very good chance of blocking zero-day attacks. I hope that answers the question.
I think so. Thank you for that. And I think that's a good segue into talk about more of the malware that's targeting PCs specifically. So roll back to you.
Thanks. So when we look at the PC world, obviously the vast majority of threats are targeting Windows. We see about 200,000 new samples every day. So that's quite a lot more than the 10,000 variants each month we see for Android. And that's because most of the criminals obviously have a well-established business practice for monetizing Windows threats. And when we look at those threats, there haven't been any real revolutions in the past few years. It's basically just a further refining of established business practices. And by that, what we see most is basically banker malware. That's malware targeting your online banking. So either they're trying to get your online banking credentials or trying to make malicious transactions while you're logged onto online banking. As well as fake antivirus and ransomware. Especially the ransomware has been very popular as of late, posing as the FBI or federal police in numerous other countries, saying that potentially saying that you are suspected of a certain crime, and unless you pay up, your computer is locked, and people do seem to fall for that. And the bad guys have been really refining that model, even showing illegal content at times, just in an attempt to basically force people to pay up rather than having people contact friends or go to a PC repair shop to get the virus problem fixed. So we see a lot of that. And most of the malware is still being distributed through websites, which is again why we put a lot of emphasis on detecting threats that are coming in while browsing the web. And most of that stuff is very often being pushed through drive-by downloads, which, as I'd mentioned, basically try to take advantage of software vulnerabilities which allow the attackers to silently install this malware. So you're browsing websites and the malware is installed completely silently without you noticing that anything is wrong. And again, that's where we've put a lot of emphasis on trying to protect these particular threat vectors. And as I mentioned, the Chrome extensions that are starting to become a trend, that's obviously affecting Windows as well. And in fact, basically a lot of the major platforms. But I think Anne has some interesting things to say about how we protect against these threats. So I'll give it back to Katie, I suppose.
Thanks, absolutely. In talking about those Chrome extensions, do you have an example of one of those that you've seen that we should be on the lookout for or aware of?
Sure. So when we look at the Chrome extensions, we see most of that activity actually happening on Facebook, where there's basically a replication loop happening, where you basically visit Facebook and you see that maybe somebody posted something interesting, or they commented on a post. You click that, and then when you're running Chrome, when you're running other browsers, you may just see some advertising. But when you're running Chrome, the website may say, like, hey, install this Chrome extension and see who is visiting your Facebook profile. And when you do that, well, that's when you install the malware, which will then post comments or post links on either your Facebook wall or other people's wall. Sorry, I should say timeline. And the cycle repeats itself. And the money they're making here is through advertising. So this is click fraud. So the attackers are trying to generate revenue by by basically ad clicks or ad views, and it seems to be going quite well for them.
That's really annoying. They keep getting smarter. Anne, can you talk about how Kaspersky can keep these users safe from such attacks?
Sure. Well, I have to say I love listening to Roll because I feel like I'm like listening to some kind of adventure novel movie, like the things that people do, the creativity. I mean, when there's money to be made, you know, people will be as creative as possible and try and find every different way possible to get into your system. And, you know, a lot of us can't quite fathom that these attacks will come to us as individuals and us directly. And I think that that's part of what you know, people should really understand with our software is we are protecting you from all of that stuff, whether it comes your way or not, whether you're aware of it or not. This ransomware, you know, Roel talked about the default deny technologies. I mean, there are such complicated technologies within our security software to protect you from everything known, everything unknown, everything developing. But you don't have to worry about that stuff. All you have to do is enjoy the internet to its full potential. I mean, you can go on. You know, my favorite story for me personally is I found these awesome shoes on this really obscure website, and I was afraid to buy them. And I thought, but you know what? I do have Kaspersky. It's not saying it's a phishing link. It's not, you know, any of that. I used the virtual keyboard to put in my credit card information, and lo and behold, I got my shoes. Like, how cool is that? So, I mean, I think that's what it's all about for consumers, is that shopping, banking, surfing, you know, having your kids online, going on chat rooms. You don't have to worry about if I click on this link, is it malicious, or if something's trying to download onto my machine, you know, is it going to cause me problems? Another interesting one that I think people aren't aware of is the applications like Java and Adobe. They're really full of holes that make it really easy for cyber criminals to get into your PC. And we make sure that they're not coming in that way. You know, it's just all about these layers and layers and layers of protection, and behind the scenes, so that it doesn't bother you at all. A couple key things to point out. Well, two of the most biggest concerns for people online right now tend to be their money, because they like shopping like I do, and banking, and also their identity. And we have a really fabulous technology in our safe money technology, which Roel talked to a bit about the banking piece of it. It just ensures with multiple layers of protection that when you're going to a bank, that it is the actual bank, that you're in a secure environment, and that none of your financial information can be stolen. Same thing with our identity protection through our anti-phishing technologies, through our virtual keyboard, all these technologies that just allow you to, again, do what you want to do without having to worry about the complexity of the technology behind it, or about what's coming and what's new, etc., because we're right on top of that 24/7.
Thank you. And as Roel talked about, there's so many threats that are out there, so we wanted to create a product that we could protect all of those devices. So that's where Kaspersky Internet Security Multi-Device comes into play. And I'm going to throw it back to you to talk a little bit more about the features that are included there and how this product works, and where they can find it, and maybe how much it costs.
Okay, sure. So Kaspersky Internet Security Multi-Device, the goal here, again, is to protect you no matter the device that you're using. And we try to make it really easy for you. So with the standard product, you have 5 licenses that you can put across any of your devices, your PCs, your Macs, your Android smartphones, and your Android tablets. So if you have 2 phones, a tablet, 2 PCs, if you have 1 Mac, 3 phones, etc., so whatever combination works for you and your household with your family. And you can also switch them in and out. So if you buy a new phone, you can put the protection on the new phone and take it off the old phone. Couple other things, you know, I think we've pointed out that, again, this is, you know, we make this easy for you. It's one product, it's one license to keep track of, and it's giving you that real-time protection optimized for each device across all of these devices. Availability, said Katie, it's online and in retail, and it retails for about $99.95.
Great. Thanks, and I think that was about all of the questions we had. We answered how much it costs, how does it work. Some of the other questions that we had were, is it available in Swahili? I will answer that later on this post.
I know some of our products are, because
Yes.
I've actually dealt with this, but I'm
Okay.
not sure that all of these have been translated. I'm not 100% that Android has been translated, but we can look into that.
Sure. And then another question that we had was, are there any additional features in this new version, which I think we kind of touched upon, that isn't available in Kaspersky Internet Security for PC?
So you're going to find all of the features for the all the PC technologies you're going to find within this product, as well as the technologies that protect your Android devices and your Mac. So it's just really a comprehensive one product solution.
Great. And I think that was all the questions that we had. If there's any additional ones, please feel free to ask it on the post once we put this up online, and we will get to those afterwards. Thank you all for attending. Roel and Anne, thank you so much for your time, and we will be in touch later at another point to talk about a new product. We hope you all have a great hump day and happy Wednesday.
Thanks, Katie.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.